You might say Donald Trump is a man of many words. He says he has the best words, in fact. Now a word from Trump we haven't heard before, regret. Let me bring in the panel. Patty Solis-Doyle is here. She's a CNN political commentator and a former campaign manager for Hillary Clinton's 2008 presidential campaign. Bruce Haynes, Republican consultant and founder of Purple Strategies. Josh Rogan, CNN political analyst and Washington Post columnist. Joseph Borelli, New York City councilman and a Donald Trump supporter. Oh, good. I was going to say, you better wear a purple tie if you're the founder of Purple Strategies. I was just kind of thinking that as I'm saying. Okay, so the latest. For a summer Friday, there's a lot going on in your world, Joseph Borelli. Paul Manafort out. Why did he need to go?
I think there was a clear change of direction. I think even before the announcement this morning, you had some sort of noticeable change from the campaign. You had 3 days of essentially on-message speeches. You had these big ad buys. You had a lot of the things that frankly, the campaign was being criticized for not doing. You had a Donald Trump really on message. I think the writing was on the wall for a little while. Maybe he was frustrated. I don't know. I'm not in at that level. But ultimately, I think the new Trump campaign is much more coherent and much more ready to take on Hillary.
Josh, how much of this has to do with the distraction element of Paul Manafort? And it was starting to get a lot of coverage, and deservedly so.
Yeah,
His connections to Ukraine and the pro-Russian elements there.
Listen, I think that's been overblown. I think that Paul Manafort has been mired in controversy over his lobbying. He'll continue to be. Sure, it's a drip, drip, drip. The bottom line is when the Trump campaign thought it was doing well, none of those things mattered, and they always just denied it, right? And all of a sudden, the polls go into the tank, and it's time for a big change. And all of a sudden, Paul Manafort's Ukraine lobbying is like a big issue, right? We knew he was a lobbyist for Yanukovych.
Right.
Yes, it's horrendous. Yes, it's potentially illegal and a violation of FARA. But the real reason he left was because the campaign is tanking. All the polls are down, right? They had to do something big. They brought in two guys who he was not going to be able to work with, and the writing was on the wall. That's why he left. The rest is just cover.
You can't fire the guy at the top, even if the guy at the top is the problem where you're standing in the polls, Bruce. Does this fix everything?
I don't know if it fixes everything. The candidate is really the problem, right? The candidate needs a campaign that's bigger than himself. And he's never been able to find a way to get out of that and let that happen.
Did last night's speech move you in the direction of being more supportive of him at all? Did it change your mind at all?
It changed my mind a little bit.
If you couldn't see it, it was like this much. Is that what it is? Yeah, exactly.
But in fairness, it was unquestionably a step in the right direction. I think you saw a clear theme emerge about what he wants the campaign to be about. There was a message platform underneath that about safety, about security, about the war on terror. You actually had a little bit of a vision of what a Trump presidency might look like if you listened to that speech. And he was responsive directly to some of the things that are dogging this campaign, in particular the concerns that people have about his temperament to be president. So it was a step in the right direction. Was it a leap? I don't know. We'll see.
Do you believe that it's going to stick around really quick? Do you believe it's going to stick?
Well, that's a question we're all asking ourselves today, right?
But I ask, you have to answer, even if you're wrong, and I won't hold it against you tomorrow. I didn't ask if there were teleprompters at this Michigan speech. If there aren't teleprompters at this Michigan rally tonight, what do you think?
A little scary.
A little scary for the Trump supporter.
3 days of on message is news for Donald Trump, right? Let's see if it lasts a week.
You do see the polls trickling. I said this on the show Monday. You see the polls narrowing ever so slightly.
Well, the narrow is the post-convention glow of Hillary Clinton seems to have...
But call what you will. Donald Trump sees it as, I'm going to stay on message, and I could see the polls narrowing. I like to think he's going to continue to stay on message.
A positive reinforcement that he might actually listen to.
Exactly.
Advice Donald Trump listens to. What?
He does like the polls.
He does like a poll when the poll likes him. Patty, the guy that was pushed out when Manafort was brought in, it's like following a soap opera. It's so fun and so sad at the same time. Corey Lewandowski. I spoke with him earlier, and he had nothing but nice things to say about Paul Manafort. There's no love lost between these guys, as we well know. But he also tweeted a little something out. I will read it one more time for our viewers. He retweeted something. Lewandowski is winning so much, even he may get tired of winning. You have been through a campaign shakeup before in 2008. What is your perspective on this?
Look, a campaign shakeup happens because things are not going well, right? If things were going well, everyone would stay in place. They'd be winning. They're not winning. The polls are tanking, as Josh said. But when you're the person being shook up, it's hard. So Paul Manafort's having a bad day today. And Corey Lewandowski has got a little bit of, I was right, he was wrong kind of thing going on. And so I give it to Corey Lewandowski. But right now, you know, Donald Trump's speech yesterday, you're going to be shocked to hear me say
a
this.
diehard forever Democrat.
It was a good speech.
Bruce just falls out of
It was a solid political speech. The question is,
are you nervous?
Can he maintain?
Should it make Hillary Clinton nervous? Should it make Hillary Clinton nervous?
Well, here are the two issues with the speech. Can he stay on message? He has proven over and over and again that he can't. And, you know, one good speech does not negate 14 months of, like, offensive comment after offensive comment. All those comments that he made are on video, right?
Can it, though? Can it, though? I feel like voters are very forgiving, I feel like, when people ask for forgiveness. Not that he asked for something specific that he regretted, maybe because it would have been the entire speech, Joseph, if he was apologizing for one thing after another. But last night, what I heard, and I'm sitting here listening to this, is this sounds like a speech someone gives when they're first announcing that they are going to be running for president. This should have been the speech that he gave in the first place.
Bruce and I mentioned that to me in the green room. We sort of have an agreement over it.
Can he rebrand now?
This is a real reset. I think this is a genuine reset of the campaign. And you even...
All of our viewers are like, I can't believe you're saying it again.
But you even that's right. I feel like I have said that before,
reset.
But you have him saying, I regret some of the things I said. And that puts him in contrast with Hillary Clinton, who, over the past few weeks, and I know we'll talk about her next, has not accepted the things she's done that's wrong. And that's been her problem, and that will be her problem.
Two problems.
Let me ask, in the context of this, I want to get your take. You've got what people are describing as a compassionate Donald Trump that they heard last night. Him saying that I want to be the voice for all of the forgotten places, all the forgotten people in this country. Not something you have ever heard from Donald Trump. Then they release this ad in battleground states today that, well, Hillary Clinton's team says is clearly, if this was a reset, if this was a pivot, it just came to a complete halt. Because the ad, you know what, we think we have part of the ad. Let's play that.
In Hillary Clinton's America, the system stays rigged against Americans. Syrian refugees flood in. Illegal immigrants convicted of committing crimes get to stay, collecting Social Security benefits, skipping the line. Our border open, it's more of the same, but worse. Donald Trump's America...
That doesn't scream compassion to me.
So the first thing is, it's a sort of classic non-apology. I'm sorry if you were offended, right? It's not specific. He's not actually talking about what he did wrong.
That's not how I teach my 2-year-old to apologize.
Exactly. And the second thing is, like, if you listen to the entire speech, there's really nothing new there. It's the same stuff. Benghazi, anti-immigration, anti-trade.
But it sounded like
we're going to be strong. We're going to be tough.
Poll-tested one-liners in there. That is why they are poll-tested, because they can work.
Who he brought in to run this new campaign. Look at who Steve Bannon is, right? He's not a guy who's going to run a really up-and-up, you know, fact-based, reasonable, you know, engagement with the voters campaign. That's not who he is. That's not why they would have hired him, right? What we're going to see is more and more of this type of ad and less of the kind of moderation.
But that's what the sort of journalist class said on Monday when this news broke about who he was hiring. And yet we've had this week where it's been the exact opposite. You saw him talking about, like you said, Bruce, themes. And you saw him attack Hillary Clinton in the way that presidential candidates are supposed to attack their opponent, not sort of the off-the-cuff.
Well, don't say it. I think we just heard Joseph Borelli say that Donald Trump is a politician. I think we just got an admission.
Well, you said poll-tested one-liners. Let's not forget the other person that was brought in is Kellyanne Conway, who is a pollster who has real experience running these kinds of races. And not only is she going to look at these are the issues that resonate with voters and where does Trump align with what voters are concerned about, but be able to counsel him on the kind of messaging that creates a speech like this that sounds better to people, feels better to people.
If it isn't in the teleprompter, will he stick with it? We've got a lot more to discuss, guys. Stick around, including this, rocking the foundation, the Clinton Foundation to be exact. It's promising changes if Hillary Clinton becomes president, but critics are saying those changes should have happened a long time ago. Our panel weighs in.